don't wait for Monday or Tuesday. I thought it would be cheaper to buy over the weekend, and it turned out I was wrong. You would have got a better buy had you waited for Monday. But doesn't matter. If you bought last weekend, you're still ahead. You're still, at least $100 ahead on gold and $6-7 ahead on silver. So it didn't matter, even if you missed out on a better buy on Monday. But I think that's going to be the exception, not the rule. In general, I expect a lot of strength over the weekend. And I think when the Asian markets open Sunday night and react not only to the tariff news, but to the bad economic news, which I'm going to get to in a moment, I think you're going to see big rallies. So once again, I would not wait for Monday. After you finish listening to or watching this market wrap, if you got extra cash, buy some more gold and silver.
Investor sentiment is shifting as market volatility fuels demand for safe haven assets. According to Peter Schiff, waiting for a better entry point in gold and silver may be a costly mistake. While some investors hoped for lower prices early in the week, precious metals have continued to show resilience. Strong rallies in Asian markets combined with tariff concerns and weakening economic data could drive prices higher. Even those who bought recently remain ahead, reinforcing bullish momentum. Schiff suggests acting decisively, as weekend strength may become the norm rather than the exception in today's uncertain global economy. Now, we present the clips from Peter Schiff's interview. Before we continue to discuss this, please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell icon for timely updates. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
Lock up your gold and silver right now and have it and get these prices before we go higher. Now, first of all, Donald Trump delivered a message to the country after the Supreme Court struck down his tariffs, basically saying this is terrible for the country. The Supreme Court is harming America by, getting rid of these great tariffs that are making us rich and are, made America great again, and all this nonsense. The tariffs are not making us rich. We pay the tariff. We can't enrich ourselves by taxing ourselves. But the tariffs are not even helping our trade. Our trade deficits, and I went over those on my last podcast, which I did yesterday, so I'm not going to repeat that. Go back and listen to that. That's the podcast on my main channel, Peter Schiff YouTube channel. But our trade deficits are not getting better. In fact, they're about to get. The Supreme Court did not harm the country by validating the lower court's ruling. In fact, not only does this help the country, but it helps restore or preserve some constitutional limitations on presidential power, which is a good thing. Even if you really like what Trump is doing, you may not like what the next socialist president does, and any power that Trump usurps is wielded by whoever succeeds him. And the person who succeeds him may do stuff that you really don't like. So it's a good thing. Even if you think Trump's tariffs are good, they need to be enacted by Congress, not by the president. Because if Trump can enact these tariffs, who knows what President AOC might be able to enact by relying on the same BS authority that Trump relies on. But anyway, Trump said, okay, even though the Supreme Court has thrown out these tariffs, he's imposing new tariffs based on some other authority that he claims he has. And I checked the statute. It's from 1974, where the president can enact an emergency and temporary, I wrote it down, a temporary tariff of up to 15%, and it lasts for 150 days. So he can't do it permanently. And he imposed 10%, so not the max. He could go up to 15, I guess, but not the type of crazy 50, 100% tariffs he was throwing out before. But I read the statute, and it has to do with emergencies, and clearly we are not in one. The type of emergency that the statute was written about doesn't exist. It's about an imminent collapse of the dollar, which, I actually think there could be an imminent collapse of the dollar, but nobody is worried about that right now. So it's not like the dollar is tanking. And it has to do with, an emergency, like a big increase in our trade deficits that threatens the dollar. But our trade deficits are the same as they've been for the last 10, 20 years. I mean, yeah, they've been growing, but it's hard to say that what happens now constitutes some kind of new emergency that would trigger this authority. But even if that's the case, these are temporary tariffs, and he can't put them in, and then when they go away, reimpose them and reimpose them and reimpose them. He could do it once. And so, he can't try to reshape global trade with these temporary tariffs, no matter what he wants to pretend. So most countries now, or Americans, are going to get some relief here because the tariffs are going to go down on most of the products that are being imported. In the meantime, the government needs to refund all the money that it collected under the unconstitutional tariffs. Now, the Supreme Court didn't actually address this issue, but it's clear if the tariffs were imposed illegally, then whoever paid them gets their money back. I mean, that's just the way it is. Whether the Trump administration wants to voluntarily give it back or wait for the people who paid the tariffs to win their lawsuits, they can do that. But the money's going to have to get refunded, no matter how you look at it. Now, of course, unfortunately, the poor consumer doesn't get anything because it's only refunded to the person who paid the tariffs, which in most cases was the business, the importer. Yes, he passed it on to the consumer by raising prices, but if you paid a higher price because the importer paid a tariff, the importer's not going to give you a refund, even if the importer himself gets a refund.
Gold and silver investors are being urged to act quickly as policy uncertainty shakes financial markets. Peter Schiff argues that recent tariff disputes involving Donald Trump highlight deeper economic risks. After the Supreme Court of the United States struck down certain tariffs, new temporary measures were introduced, raising fresh constitutional and trade concerns. Critics say tariffs burden American consumers and fail to reduce trade deficits. Market volatility may intensify. Analysts suggest precious metals could benefit as investors seek protection from policy instability, dollar weakness, and long-term inflation pressures. Let's get back to the interview.
Trump is out there talking about how we have the hottest economy in the world, right? And nothing can be further from the truth. And one of the reasons he thinks our economy is so hot is because the Dow hit 50,000. Now, it's not even at 50,000 anymore. It's like 49,200. But he keeps talking about how amazing it is that the Dow hit 50,000, and it only took a year from when he started as president. He says nobody believed this could happen in a year. People thought it would take 4 years, and I did it in one. The Dow is up 12%, 12% since he was sworn in. The Fed keeps saying that inflation expectations are well anchored at 2%. Where? Who the hell expects 2% inflation? Just the Fed, nobody else. But the reality is, I think that the consumer is closer to being right than the Fed, but I think he's likely still understating it. By the way, as I'm watching, the gold and silver prices are still adjusting. Gold is now up $110. We're above 51. We're at 51.05. And silver's up over $6 now. $6.09. We're at 84.50 on silver. I mean, what are these the percentage gains here now on the day? Gold's up 2.25%, and silver's up 7.8%, almost 8% on the day. And nobody's talking about it. I was watching the financial news again all day as they're covering the reaction to the news on the tariffs. Nobody talked about precious metals. And that's where you had a big move. Yeah, the dollar was a little weaker. Bonds were a little weaker. Stock market went up a little bit. You know what did nothing? Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is still 67,700. Yeah, it was up like 1.3% on the day. Not as much as gold was up. It was up, but it was, it's still nowhere. It's still below 70,000. It's still below the 69,000 peak that it hit in November of 2021, right? And the media is still fascinated with this crypto bubble. They don't even realize that it's popped and all the air is about to come out and all their viewers are about to get wiped out. But that's what's going to happen. And again, if you're still holding Bitcoin, do yourself a favor and sell it this weekend. You're lucky that it hasn't already dropped through the floor. I don't know what's taking it so long. Look at a chart. Zoom out. All these crypto guys are always telling me to zoom out. Well, zoom out. It's ugly. Yes, there was a big rise, but it's crashing now. Look at what it looks like on a chart. And you tell me that that's not going to keep falling. Look, if Bitcoin breaks 50,000, which seems like a high probability event to me. You look at that chart. There's nothing that's going to stop it from going to 20,000. So, why ride it down to 20,000? If you have to, you could buy it back down there. I wouldn't, but get out now. Get into some gold and silver. We make it easy at Shift Gold with BitPay. You can easily sell your Bitcoin and get some gold or silver. And we're not going to stop at 20,000. Maybe around 20,000, maybe there'll be a bounce. Maybe it'll go back up to 30,000. Everybody be excited. Hey, we're going to the moon. Then the next thing you know, we're going to be 10,000. And every time Bitcoin makes a new high, they say the same thing, right? Oh, well, the volatility is a thing of the past. You don't have to worry about the big drops anymore. It's been de-risked now. It's less risky to buy it now because, all the institutions are in, the government is in. So you don't have to worry about, big 50, 60, 70, 80% drops. Those were in the past, when it was a new asset, but now it's matured, it's broadened out, it's got more adoption. So, it's not going to drop like that. And then when it has a big drop, 50, 60, 70%, they go back and say, well, that's Bitcoin. That's how it is. Volatility is a feature, not a bug. This is what's so great about Bitcoin is that it can collapse at any moment. You laugh. They talk about the fact that Bitcoin crashes a lot. And that's what makes it so great, the fact that it crashes and you lose most of your money. No, that's not what makes it great. And you know what? Just because something crashes 4, 5, 6 times in the past and comes back doesn't mean that the next time it crashes, it's guaranteed to come back.
Market volatility is intensifying as debates over inflation, tariffs, and asset bubbles dominate headlines. Peter Schiff challenges claims by Donald Trump that the U.S. has the hottest economy, noting the Dow Jones Industrial Average is only modestly higher while inflation concerns persist. Meanwhile, gold and silver prices are surging, significantly outperforming Bitcoin. Schiff argues that while crypto enthusiasm continues, precious metals are quietly gaining strength as safe haven assets. With recession fears and weakening dollar sentiment building, investors are increasingly turning to gold and silver for stability and long-term wealth preservation. Share your thoughts on his analysis in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, please support us by turning on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos. See you in the following video. Thanks for watching.